The leadership of the FBI was corrupt to the core. That includes James Comey, McCabe. That includes Strzok and Page. That includes the General Counsel for the FBI. That includes the individual precept who wrote this regarding the interview of General Flynn. First, he warned everybody, don't play games. He said that could be dangerous. We don't want to be playing games here. But then he talked about, what do we want? What are we trying to get? That was his, what is the goal? That's the question he asked. You put this in handwriting. What is our goal? Truth/admission, or to get him to lie so we can prosecute him or get him fired? That's what the notes actually read involving General Flynn.
This, I think, completely shows the deep state at its worst. It implicates, as you said, Peter Strzok, Lisa Page, Jim Comey. This also implicates Bill Priestap, James Baker. These are the folks, again, who we've also thought were responsible for the misdealings with the Crossfire Hurricane and with the dossier. And when you read how they targeted him, do we want to get truth or admission, or do we want to get him to lie so we can prosecute him or get him fired?
You look at this White House now, and it's hard to imagine 2 FBI agents ending up in the sit room. How did that happen?
I sent them. Something I probably wouldn't have done or maybe gotten away with in a more organized investigation, a more organized administration, in the George W. Bush administration, for example, or the Obama administration. There was process. And so if the FBI wanted to send agents into the White House itself to interview a senior official, you would work through the White House counsel, and there'd be discussions and approvals and who would be there. And I thought, it's early enough, let's just send a couple guys over.
This is embarrassing. It's disgusting. It's despicable. Comey is smug about it. He laughs. This is entrapment. And this is something that General Flynn now, if Judge Emmett Sullivan allows him to vacate the plea, which I cannot imagine that he would not allow him to do at this point, gives General Flynn 2 options: a massive civil rights suit under the federal civil rights suit against Comey and all the agents who participated in this, and the Attorney General should open a criminal civil rights investigation under Title 18. This is what we all have heard classically called a perjury trap. These are despicable things, Jay. The idea that our government, through its so-called premier foremost law enforcement agency, the great FBI, would go in there and set up a man intentionally trying to get him to lie so that they could either prosecute him or get him to resign.
First of all, you play that sound about James Comey joking about this matter and the audience laughing. It makes me so furious. This is anything but funny. A man with a sterling reputation and decades of service to the United States had his reputation ruined, Jay. He had to mortgage his house to mount a legal defense, and that's what James Comey and the audience is laughing about. Second, Jay, you ask about the reaction on Capitol Hill. Let me connect a couple of dots here for our audience. We talked in recent days about these transcripts that Adam Schiff has been blocking the release to the public. What is included in those transcripts? We know from the report that was released is that some of those transcripts, Jay, are these FBI agents who conducted this interview with General Michael Flynn, and they testified in those depositions, in those interviews, that they found Michael Flynn to be truthful, that he had not intentionally lied to them. Jay, that is what Chairman Schiff is trying to block from coming into the public.
Take a listen to what Senator Graham had to say about this last night.
One of the worst things that can happen in any democracy is for those who are in charge of the law to take it in their own hands for political purposes. And I think that's what's happened here, but time will tell.
They set up a man who has served his country for 3 decades. They did so with intent. They did so knowingly. They did so wantingly, wanting to set him up. They set up a trap. The entire Mueller fraud, which is what it was, this is the best evidence of that fraud. General Flynn pled guilty because of pressure that these FBI agents and the Department of Justice lawyers handling the case put on the pressure they put on him regarding his son. That was allegedly what it was.
Bill Priestep, also who was the one who wrote the notes on Michael Flynn in this setup, is the same person who authorized, it was the final authorization on starting Crossfire Hurricane with the dossier. He was Peter Strzok's boss, so Peter Strzok is involved in both of these. Lisa Page, Andy McCabe, Jim Comey, James Baker, the General Counsel for the FBI. They were all involved in all of these issues. And we talk about that the goal of the deep state and working with people like Adam Schiff was to remove ultimately the President of the United States after he was elected. It was their insurance policy. And so they wanted to start picking off members of his administration and then ultimately get to a special counsel investigation where they thought they could get a lot more done. And in fact, when you fabricate everything, you get nothing done.
Listen to what Bill Barr said about what he does when he gets the evidence.
Building these cases, especially the sprawling case we have between us that went on for 2 or 3 years here, takes some time to build the case. So he's diligently pursuing it. My own view is that the evidence shows that we're not dealing with just mistakes or sloppiness. There was something far more troubling here, and we're going to get to the bottom of it. And if people broke the law, and we can establish that with the evidence, they will be prosecuted.